Today for you guys, I have a really cool idea that I want to show you and that I'm just fairly proud of. And I want to take time to also talk about a fairly interesting concept within Psytrance that I haven't really covered on this channel before. So first I'm going to just have you listen to the drop that I wrote here, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into it and talk about what makes it work in my opinion. And the main topic of the video therefore is going to be the question and answer that is happening within this drop, and also question and answer leads in general. As you can hear, it's not entirely finished, and you can see that as well from the production where I'm still missing stuff like the atmospheres, a lot of the effects, maybe one or two vocals in here would be nice, and a few one-shots as well. One-shots are going to be over here, of course, in the one-shots group. But the main thing that I want to talk about is, in my opinion, why this part already works just from a main idea kind of standpoint, and that is the question and answer thing that is happening here. When it comes to question and answer, there's not really much that I can really show you, in the sense that I could sit here and make two FM leads and just have them question and answer. But I think talking about the theory, everybody's going to get what question and answer is going to be. And that is that we have one synth talking, and then we go to a different synth, and then they're going to be alternating. Like one synth is asking a question, and then the other synth is responding to that. And that's exactly what it's going to be. There's maybe a pattern set up in a way that you have them alternating in a certain way, giving them each like a similar length, or maybe one is, I don't know, 3 beats in a bar, and then the other synth is going to be the last beat in the bar, so that would be a shorter response to the longer question, so to say. But the main thing that you're going to see in question and answer is that there's going to be some kind of stable element within that, and that is really what keeps the whole idea together. And just it's different from just having two synths playing, in the sense that there is some stability in there. For example, like I said before, we could have that FM synth playing for 3 beats of the bar, and then always having it play for 3 beats of the bar. Not say one time it plays for 3 beats, and then the next time it plays for 2 beats, and the next time it plays for 3 beats again, and then the next time it plays maybe for 1 beat, and like randomizing rhythms and that kind of stuff, which is also a cool idea. But just having that stability in there is something that you can attach to while you're dancing, something that can be almost like part of the groove, even though it is considered more of a like mid-range element, which I don't technically think is part of the groove. It is not as integral to the groove as, say, your bass line or the top drums that you're using. But as you can hear, in this part, we have our stable element, which is going to be this guy over here, which you can see we have set up a repeating pattern here. Can I select that? Maybe if I make this a bit bigger, I can select that. But every 2 bars, it just repeats, and you can see that it's doing the exact same thing every time, apart from the last part, of course. And then we have our alternating layer, which is actually side-chained to the group that we're playing here. So every time this group is going to play something, this guy is going to duck out of the way. Doesn't seem to like it when I play it on its own. But you can hear that for this main guy, the pattern is always the same, and every 2 bars, or every 2 repetitions I would say, it repeats the melody as well. So the melody is different between this guy and this guy, but it is fairly similar, I would say. The main rhythm though at which it plays is always the same, and therefore this is the element that creates the stability within this question and answer thing. And this is the guy that basically kind of dances around the other lead. Now you have a third lead incoming over here that is actually kind of taking over the whole idea, and that turns it more into this kind of FM thing. And I'm going to have to use atmospheres and effects and all of that kind of stuff to make that transition a little bit smoother, because I don't want to just continue to play the same two set of elements with the same repetition for, as you can see, 24 bars here. But honestly, this is the whole idea behind basically any question and answer thing that you're going to hear in any form of Psytrance, whether that be, say, two FM synths playing against each other, or an acid line playing against, let's say, a different melody, or something melodic playing against something non-melodic, or maybe something very atmospheric sounding and very reverberated sounding, so against something that is very dry sounding. Maybe the differences in like certain areas of a grid synth, for example. Let's go into some grid synths earlier on in the project here. You could technically say that there is some question and answering happening in here, in that we're alternating between these synths over here. So for example, these guys, there's of course a lot going on in here. But this guy versus these two guys, I would really say that almost this is like a question and then this is the response to it, in that the rest is a lot more stable around it, but these two guys are kind of alternating between that. And still both of these elements, while I say that there's stable elements around that, both of these elements are also very stable, and that they're also always playing in the same part. So if I take this and just duplicate it over, you can see that it still results in it being in the same spot every time. And the same is going to be true for this guy. If I take this and duplicate it over, it is still stable in where it is within the rhythm, where it is within the idea as a whole. Now I know that there's a lot of Psytrance that relies a lot on random generation, but even within that, what usually happens is that there's this process where, okay, you're generating a whole bunch of long audio files with, say, like glitchy sequences, FM sounds, any form of sound design. I like to call these monoliths, and this is something that I've done a video on as well before. But the main idea is that you tend to start your Psytrance sound design sessions by making these long files and then cutting out very small parts of the sound design that you can then place in the track. And what I've noticed is that even the more, say, nighttimey or even like dark side, or the more random sounding Psytrance tracks, they tend to have some kind of anchor in them. And usually these anchors are elements that are part of the question and answer thing. So there may be this one stable element that is constantly asking the same question and just getting different answers, in the sense that, for example, over here, we have that as well. We have this guy being just all glitchy and doing all kinds of weird stuff. Like this is one of those nice, cool, arranged, random sound design build-up kind of ideas. In fact, the way that this is done is I made, I believe, 5 different synths, glitch them up in certain ways, use certain sound design processes to make them really glitchy, then render out, I believe, like 24 bars of each of them. And then I just cut out individual small pieces that are just going to be either a beat or half a beat or something like that, and then arrange them and then render that out into an individual track to actually generate this file over here. This is the continuous random answer that you're going to get to the question that is just this. Now, even though technically this is sitting at the end of the segment, right? At the end of this bar, and then towards the end of this bar over here as well, I don't think that that really matters for what question and answer is trying to do. I think what matters more is that you have these two elements that are both alternating, and there is this overarching theme of stability to at least one of the elements in there. So that's everything that I want to talk about for today. That is just going to be a quick overview of question and answering inside of Psytrance. And I do really want to just keep it small and keep it focused on what question and answer really is, without diving into the whole bunch of different sound design ideas and different ways of implementing it. I've shown a couple of examples, and hopefully that is enough to actually teach you the concepts that I'm trying to teach. But I don't want to go in there and show every single sound design possibility that there is to do with question and answer, because it is this integral part of Psytrance and there's a million different ways of doing it. So I hope that I could teach you at least the basics of it so that you can implement it in your own Psytrance sound design. Let me know if I did by leaving a like, and make sure that you're subscribed here. Another way to support the channel is to do so financially, which you can do on my Patreon, by becoming a YouTube member or becoming a Twitch subscriber. Or you can check out my products, which you can find on Gumroad, Payhip or Adrenochrom's community store. So thank you if you do that. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.